Hey, everybody. I've been very concerned lately about my balance issues and my risk for falling. I fell probably over the last 2 years, at least 6 or 7 times. Some of them, I realized I tripped over something and I fell down and it was my fault. However, the other day, I went to get something out of the mailbox outside my apartment and it slipped down off my roller onto the ground. So I reached down to pick it up, and when I went to stand up, I stood up fine, no problem. Then all of a sudden, I found myself falling backwards, and I fell right on my rear end, and it hurt. I mean, I fell smack down on my rear end, and then proceeded to lean back. My back was on the ground, and my head was on the ground. Fortunately, I didn't hit my head too hard. There was no scrapes or cuts or anything like that, but I did scrape up my arm, and I'm just laying there. What the hell am I doing? What's going on with me? So I managed to get myself up. I rolled over and got myself on my hands and knees. And fortunately, it was near a banister going to the upstairs apartments. And I grabbed onto the banister and got myself up. Went inside and treated my elbow that was scraped pretty well. And I said, no, I gotta research into this. I've been falling too much lately. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. As we get older, our balance naturally becomes more challenged. That's because several things happen. Why balance becomes an issue. As the years go by, a few natural things change. They happen in our bodies. Your muscle strength decreases, especially in the legs and cores, the muscles that stabilize us. Your vision changes, make it making it harder to see steps, edges, or obstacles, and your perspective changes a bit. Your inner ear changes can affect equilibrium too, and many medications can cause dizziness or drowsiness that throws us off balance. Now, again, I looked at several different factors and I researched this extensively over the last couple of days. And one of the things I think we're all prone to do is overreaching. Now, in this instance of me falling, I didn't overreach, I fell backwards. But I've noticed at home, if the light switch is maybe 6 inches off my extended reach, I'll lean toward it instead of walking towards it. And I've done that several times. Or to close the hatch on my car, if the hatch button is right here, instead of turning and facing the button and squaring myself off with it, I'll just reach back and put myself off balance and touch the button. Overreaching is one of the biggest problems that I have to get used to in order to correct my balance. Stretching a bit too far for that plate in the cupboard, for instance, or leaning over while, seated to grab something on the floor. It's one of the most common reasons for losing balance and taking a tumble. A simple tip: always move closer instead of reaching too far. And now that's not just one cause. It's often a mix of these things, but the first step is understanding why it happens, how to compensate and stay confident. Balance issues can shake your confidence, that's for sure, and it's completely understandable. But remember, the more you move, the more your body adapts. Here's a few innovative ways to stay active while compensating for balance changes. Take shorter, more frequent walks instead of long ones. Now, again, I can't walk unimpeded without my rollator, and I don't trust just using my cane anymore unless I have something, a wall next to me or a railing or something that I can steady myself on and have the cane on the other side. I just cannot feel comfortable about walking with nothing around me other than a cane. It's just not going to happen. What I do when I go shopping before I get into the store and get one of those mobility carts is I look for, or I'll park near an abandoned shopping cart or the cart corral. And I'll make sure I get out and I'll get a shopping cart. And that actually works as my rollator. It gives me something to support myself while I'm rolling into the store and looking for a mobility cart that I can use. Use handrails for support when you're out. I mean, that's what they're there for. Sit while doing chores, folding laundry, or preparing food at the table. Chopping food, for instance, sit down at the table. Do it there. You don't have to stand at the counter. Never rush. Move at your own pace. Safety first, pride second. And if you feel unsteady, it's okay to take a break and start again. Just breathe. Confidence builds with practice. Now, what I do is ground myself. If I'm standing at the counter, for instance, doing something, I'll make sure or two of my knees are in contact with that counter. And that keeps me, I guess, maybe a mental state of feeling grounded where, I feel like I'm supported. And I'll do it with the car too. When I open up the hatch, I'll put at least one knee against the back of the car while the hatch is opened, and I'll grab my rollator and I'll have my knee there to support myself, or let's put it this way, a good feeling of supporting myself or a good sense of supporting myself while I pick up the rollator and slide it into the back of the car. And then when I get around to the car, I'll use my cane walking straight down towards the driver's door, and I'll use the car as support, and I'll put the cane on my left-hand side. That's how I do it. And I do it at home when uh, when I'm brushing my teeth. If I don't sit down brushing my teeth, I'll use the counter and lean into the counter, and that gives me a sense of support. Now, if I'm doing other things, if I have to stand, I'll stand against the counter. I'll stand against the wall. I'll stand against anything that I know will support me and prevent me from falling. And I just have to become more conscious of doing that. Standing safely for better balance. Now, let's talk what you can do right away. How to stand in a way that you can stay upright and stable. Find your base. Keep your feet shoulder width apart. A narrow stance makes it easy to wobble. Speaking of wobbling, I said to my son the other day, I said, "You remember those toys you had when you were younger? There were Fisher Price Weebles." I said, "That's the way I feel right now. I feel like a roly poly." And I look down at my feet sometimes, and they're too close together. So I have to be more conscious of having a stance that's no wider than my shoulder width. And I try to have a staggered stance a little bit, just like when you're trained to shoot a pistol. There's a certain stance that you gain. You put one foot in front of the other slightly, and you use that. Well, that's what I'm going to do. And well, that's what I've been practicing to do. And keep your knees a little bit bent. It doesn't have to be completely straight. You don't have to be rigid. And you don't have to be overly conscious of this, because if you're overly conscious of it, you're going to make mistakes. So let things happen naturally. Uh, as I mentioned, keep toes forward and knees soft. Point your toes straight ahead and keep a slight bend in your knees. Never lock them. Engage your core muscles. That's your stomach and your back and your rear end muscles. That's your whole core. Gently tighten your belly muscles as if pulling your navel towards your spine. This will activate your core, your natural stabilizer. Maintain good posture. Stand tall, but you don't have to stand rigid. Shoulders relaxed. Just get those shoulders relaxed and avoid, oh God, don't lean back. Whatever you do, don't lean back. Practice quiet standing. Stand near a counter or sturdy chair and hold your balance for 15 to 30 seconds. Once that feels easy, gently turn your head side to side or close your eyes briefly, but always have support nearby. I do this every morning now, uh, and it's become a habit. I've also got online and I've looked at Tai Chi exercises and exercises for balance, and I found a couple of good sites. So what I'm going to do is, instead of reinventing the wheel, I'm just going to put links to those other videos and, give props to the people who's made them, because there's some good tips in there. Simple exercises that you're going to find in these tips. You don't need fancy equipment. Try heel to toe walking down a hallway. Make sure you have support. Now, what I do is My bed and my dresser, there's about maybe 6, 7 feet of unimpeded space lengthwise, and I have about 3.5 feet in width. So what I do is I'll walk that way, and if I tether or however else you want to put it to one side, I'll just grab onto the dresser or I'll grab onto the footboard of the bed, standing on one foot while holding onto the counter or the back of a chair. You can do that. They say you can get up to 2 minutes according to, these videos that I've been on. It's hard to do when you're first starting it. Uh, all you do is just stand there, lift up one foot, and try to balance yourself. If you have to use the back of the chair for support or something else for support, use it. And once you get to the point, you might be able to just use one finger to stabilize yourself. And what you want to do is get to the point where you don't use your hands or your fingers or anything to hold on. And that's going to be hard to do. There's sit to stand exercises from a sturdy chair. Now, this one video describes it as putting cushions so you don't have to go down so far. And what you want to do is you want to put your arms like this and you want to stand up. And again, that's hard, but make sure there's something in front of you. So if you go forward, you can grab onto it to avoid falling onto your face. Now, something that is a problem for me is neuropathy. When you have peripheral neuropathy, the nerves in your feet don't send clear signals to your brain about where your body is in space. That sense is called proprioception. I guess that's right. I'll put it up on the screen. If your feet can't accurately feel the ground, your brain has a harder time judging how to keep you stable. Now, the role of neuropathy and what it, how it impacts your balance. One of the most significant changes that I've personally noticed is from neuropathy in my feet, and I've had it for the last couple of years. If you're dealing with it too, you know the feeling, the numbness, the tingling, the burning that never goes away. When I walk, I sometimes feel like my feet don't fully talk to the ground anymore or to my brain. And when that feedback disappears, it's harder for your brain to know where your body is. That's actually what caused one of my falls in the past. I stepped backwards, but I misjudged my balance and went straight down because I couldn't feel the floor properly. Luckily, I was near a wall and caught part of the fall, but it was a wake-up call. Here's some other reasons that neuropathy can affect your balance. You may not feel uneven surfaces or minor changes in the floor beneath you. Your reflexes, like adjusting your foot when you start to tip, slow down. Your muscles work harder to compensate, leading to fatigue and more instability. In short, when your feet can't talk to your brain correctly, your balance suffers. Here's a couple of tips to help you compensate. Wear supportive shoes with firm soles and good traction. Avoid thin or floppy slippers. Always keep floors clutter-free so you don't rely on foot sensitivity to navigate. Use balance exercises that I mentioned before that build core and leg strength. They help your body rely on muscle memory instead of foot sensation. Check your feet daily for sores or changes, since neuropathy can make it easy to miss injuries. And if it's worsening, go to see a neurologist or a podiatrist and check if treatments like medication, physical therapy, or balance training might help. I was on gabapentin for a while, and it didn't do a damn bit of good for me. I was on I guess 300 milligrams three times a day. So that was 900 milligrams, and it just didn't help. Uh, what I have tried lately is TENS therapy, and I bought a TENS mat, and I just started using it, and it's felt a little better. And I'm not going to get into that in this video. I'm going to put out the video in a couple of weeks or maybe next week to let you know how the TENS treatment is working for me. Now, let me go over what TENS actually means. TENS, TENS, stands for transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. It uses mild electrical impulses delivered through small pads placed on the skin. The idea is to stimulate the nerves in the affected area to reduce pain signals going to the brain. As I said, I'm going to go into it in a little bit more detail after I see if it really works for me. I have a mat that I bought and I've tried it a couple of times, and it feels like it gives a good massage to the foot, but it's too early to give a thumbs up on it yet. So I'm just gonna hold back on my recommendation for it. Let's put it that way. Fall backward. Something else I've learned this week in experience is that many tend to fall backward rather than forward, and that's been the case for me. It happens because of weak core and back muscles, leaning back when standing, stiff ankles that limit your ability to catch yourself, and a shifting sense of gravity as posture changes with age. When I lost my balance the other day, I remember feeling like my body just froze, like my reaction came to a second too late. That delay is common as we age, but we can work on improvement. Now, I even looked online, and there's actually a vest that you can buy, and it's on Amazon, and unfortunately, it's $1,000, and it's got some good reviews on it. And what happens is if you lose your balance, this thing has, I don't know, detectors in it of some sort, and is a CO2 cartridge in it that uh, pumps air into it. And in less than a second, this bodysuit, for lack of a better term, covers your head and covers your back, your hips, and things like that. I said, wow, this is good. But if it was $200 or something like that in that vicinity, I'd probably order one, but there's no way in hell that I'm going to be able to spend $1,000 for it. So uh, I've got to get better at it. I've got to take steps for myself by exercising and doing whatever else I can improve my balance. Maybe I can buy a Michelin costume suit and cover myself with that. But that's just a joke. But yeah, this is something I'm going to do on my own. I just recently did a video about making your home safer. After my fall a couple of years ago, I realized how much of my home was working against me. So I removed all the throw rugs. I removed all the clutter around it. I added grab bars to the bathroom. It's to the point where I'm like a monkey going from one bar. I don't know, there was one in there, but I added two or three, and I'm like a monkey going from bar to bar to bar. And when I get out and I don't use my cane, if I'm in my bedroom, for instance, I'll use the dresser, and then I'll use the footboard on my bed and so forth, and I'll monkey walk myself to my desk and turn around and sit down on my chair. I made sure that I used night lights and I could see at night really carefully. If you're using a cane or rollator or walker, ensure that it's the right height and that you're using it correctly. Don't view it as just giving in. It's giving yourself freedom and peace of mind. Emergency help when you need it most. Even with precautions, accidents can still happen. And that's why I looked into those medical alert devices like Life Alert or Medical Guardian. And there's another one called Bay Medical, which I really like. It has a lot of features to it and it's cheaper than the other ones. I haven't subscribed yet, but I think I'm going to do it. And I've fallen and I've had a hell of a time getting up. But with that, you could press a button and you could be connected to help immediately. And it'll give me and my family more confidence. I'm out and about quite often, and I'm afraid that I'm going to fall and I'm not going to be able to get the help that I need. Sure, I carry my phone with me, and I have an iWatch, and the iWatch normally, if I fall, it says, a fall has been detected. Do you need help? But when I fell in the hallway by my mailbox the other day, it didn't do it. But fortunately, I didn't hit my head and I was conscious and I could have reached in my pocket because I carry it all the time in my pocket. And I have a lanyard that I've gotten that I use quite often, and I can hang it around my neck. And I usually do it in the wintertime so I don't have to go fumbling through clothes if I need it. And I could call for help. But with these medical devices, they're trained to get help to you immediately. And if you're home alone, and you can't get to the door, you can get those lock boxes that you can attach outside your door and put a key in it. So if the EMT has to come to your house, they can get the key out of that lockbox and come in and help you. I'm sure you've all seen that Life Alert commercial where the woman falls down the stairs. She's laying at the base of the stairs and she said, please help. I can't get up, or I've fallen. I can't get up. And that's a realistic possibility, unfortunately. I'm going to wrap this up for today. Falling can really knock the wind out of you, physically and emotionally. But every time I pick myself up, I've learned something valuable. If you've had a few falls like I have, don't shrug it off. Talk to your doctor. They might suggest a physical therapist or balance training program to help strengthen the specific muscles to keep you steady. You can also ask about a neuropathy evaluation or medication check. Some prescriptions can affect your balance and make you dizzy. Now, I did have some balance training a couple of years ago. The doctor sent me to the the local Duke rehab center, and they charge an outrageous amount. My copay each visit wasn't bad, but unfortunately, she went over the same exercises, and after once or twice, I knew all the exercises so I could do them at home. But unfortunately, being a stubborn old man, I didn't do them. I didn't follow up, but I do remember those exercises, and I kept them recorded on my camera. So I have videos of them. So I can get onto them and look at those videos again and reconstruct those exercises. But again, a lot of those exercises that I talked about are on YouTube right now. And as I mentioned, I'll put them into the description under the video for today. Falling can really knock the wind out of you, physically and emotionally. But every time I've picked myself up, I've learned something valuable and about how to stay safer next time. Fortunately, and I've fallen about, like I said, 6 or 7 times. I've scraped myself up, and I think I gave myself a mild concussion one time, and I bloodied myself a few times, but I haven't broken anything. And when you get older, if you break something, it's going to take a long time to recover. Even the scrapes and bruises that I had because of falling has taken a long time to recover from, and it's not pretty. And I don't want to keep going through that. Now, balance just isn't about strength, it's about awareness, confidence, and practice. Don't rush, don't be embarrassed, and don't stop moving. Here's some final thoughts for today. Falling can shake you, but you can stay independent and confident by strengthening your core and doing some of the balancing exercises, managing neuropathy, and using tools like alert devices. I also didn't mention in the video that one of my customers that comes into my store mentioned that I should do some Tai Chi. He said it's great for balancing. And he does it all the time. And he said he can actually teach it because he's been doing it for a number of years. But he suggested that I just get online and check out a couple of the videos on YouTube about Tai Chi exercises for seniors. And I did do that the other day, and there's several good ones that I subscribe to their channels. I haven't really gotten into it. I have to figure out where I can do it, where I have support, and I have enough room to do it, where there's a chair or there's a wall next to me that I could latch onto in case my balance goes haywire. I just don't want to fall doing it. And I think I'm going to put that in the next video when I do the wrap up of the TENS therapy and let you know how that worked for my neuropathy, if that's helped. I might just put in some of those Tai Chi mentions in there too. Balance isn't about perfection, but it's about awareness, preparation, and practice. Now, awareness. Don't overreach. That's the most important thing that I found that I'm doing wrong. I overreach all the time. So from now on, I'm going to make sure I square off whether it's opening a door, putting a key into the lock. I'm not going to do it just from keeping my body off to one side and reaching to the side and doing it. I'm going to square off because I feel more comfortable in doing so. So make a conscious effort of squaring your body off before you do anything that could affect your balance. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up just like you see right there. Share it with a friend and subscribe for more senior-friendly tips on staying active, healthy, and safe. If you already are a subscriber, I do appreciate you coming back and listening to me every week. And if you haven't subscribed already, I would appreciate you subscribing. Also, there's a little notifications bell down here. If you click on that notifications bell, that'll give you an indicator in advance when my new videos are coming out. So you can say, hey, John in John's Universe is putting up a new video. I want to check it out. Another thing I'd like you to do is put in comments, good, bad, or indifferent. I've gotten a lot of good, positive comments, and I've gotten some funny comments. There's a guy down in Australia. His name is Derek, and he'll comment and he'll put in some jokes and every once in a while, and they're clean jokes, and I banter back and forth with him a couple of times. So Derek, I do appreciate your jokes. Keep them coming. And comments are good because other people can see the comments and they can respond. And sometimes if you think I missed something, put it in the comments and I'll address it the next time I have a video, or I'll address it in a comment back to you. It's helpful to us. So until next time, stay strong, stay steady, and keep moving safely. Thank you. I appreciate it very much. And hopefully you'll tune into my next video. You have a good day.